Popular one. Just a little while to labor, and that's what it is. Brother Steve or Brother Allen, can we get that heat off? I think it's getting a little bit warm, and I just don't want you sleeping tonight. It'll mess up your sleep cycle when you get back home. And heard about that one guy. He was at the psychologist. He was having insomnia, and the doctor said, "So what's the problem?" He says, "I sleep." He said, "I sleep pretty good in the morning, and I sleep pretty good in the afternoon, but I toss and turn all night long." And so you'll get that later. Okay. If you have your Bibles, let's open them, please, just for a moment to Proverbs chapter 11. Proverbs chapter 11. And we've started a series, and of course, our theme for the year is Be More With Him, and that'll cause us to do more for Him. And so we've labeled this series for a while on Wednesday night of things that wise people do. Things that wise people do. What would a wise person do? And for the next few weeks, we'll talk about one subject, and that is a wise person wins souls to Christ. And here's what he says, Proverbs 11, and it goes with the picture up here, verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. And I know you've got your notes, and I've got mine all filled out, and I'll give you the blanks, but just by way of introduction before we start the notes, soul winning is exciting. It adds excitement to a boring life. If your life is boring, just grab you a stack of tracts and say, "I'm giving out all of these this week to somebody." Then the next week, grab a stack of tracts. "I'm giving all of these out." I was out visiting in Browns Valley area, and you'll find that most soul winners would rather go to a poor area because they're always home. They have no money to go anywhere, so they're home, and they're more humble. They're not as proud because they need all the friends they can get. They don't want to get rid of some friends. Rich people, oftentimes you'll knock on the door and they'll say, "Read the sign, get off my property." They don't need any friends. And the Bible says the rich answereth roughly. And so I was in Browns Valley, real nice neighborhood, just door to door to door with tracts. And I saw the garage door open, and I saw a big parking sign. You can buy these signs that say, Raider fan parking only or something. But this one was different. It said Green Bay Packer fan parking only. I'm looking, I said, well, he wasn't born here. And so I saw an older man, good bit older than me. He was in the garage, kind of working around. And I said, "Hey," I said, "you're from Wisconsin?" He said, "Yes, I am. Yes, I am." I said, "So you moved here to retire in Napa?" "Yep, sure did, sure did." I said, "Well, what did you do for a living?" "What did you do for a living? You're retired." He said, "I coached." I said, "You were a coach? Good. That's good." I said, "So what sport did you coach?" He said, "Football." I said, "Wow." I said, "Were you a high school coach?" He said, "No." I said, "Were you a college coach?" He said, "No." I said, "Come on." I said, "You were a pro football coach?" He said, "Yep." I said, "Who'd you coach?" He said, "Green Bay Packers." I said, "So you weren't the head coach?" He said, "No, I was the special teams coach." I said, "Did you ever get to meet the famous coach, Vince Lombardi?" He said he was the head coach. Coach with Vince Lombardi. I'm thinking, unbelievable. I'm giving him a tract. He said, "I don't do church, but I'll take the brochure." And he said, "Have you ever played flag football?" I said, "Well, sure. We played flag football in junior high and high school PE. And now get this, the Pro Bowl is now flag football. It's going downhill. Next year, it's just going to be two-hand touch. They don't want those pros to get hurt. And so anyway, he said, "You ever play flag football?" I said, "Well, yeah, that's it. That's going around the world." He said, "I wrote the rules and patented that." He said, "That's my game." I met Mr. Flag Football right here in Napa. I can't prove it because back then we didn't even have cell phone. Man, I would have taken some pictures with the guy, but Mr. Flag Football, just right over there. You never know who you're gonna meet when you're out trying to spread the gospel. It adds excitement to a boring life. Second, time is running out for you and for them. I heard the story of a missionary, brand new missionary, was getting off of a boat. He was being picked up by a veteran missionary. They were going to walk to the village, and the veteran's walking real fast, and the rookie is just barely catching up. And he says, "Why are you going so fast?" He said, "We got plenty of time." And the missionary said, "We've got plenty of time, but they don't." So time is running out for somebody, and time is running out for us. Who knows, in this various crowd right here, just on a Wednesday night, 1 year from now, one of us may not be on earth. Very possible one of us will already be up in heaven. Time's running out for all of us, no matter what age. We don't know how long we have. Number 3, just by way of introduction, when you're out soul winning, you are the answer to someone's prayers in hell. In Luke 16, we have the only story, and you can read it at length, of a man that died and went to hell. Oftentimes I'll demonstrate it by lowering a microphone. And so here he is falling, he's screaming, he's burning, he's thirsting, he's remembering, he's smelling, he is hearing hideous screams and sounds. He knows he will never get out. And here's what he says: "Can you send Lazarus to my brothers so they don't come to this place? Have Lazarus tell them about this." And Abraham says, "It's too late. Those in heaven can't come here, and those in hell can't go up there. It's too late." So people in hell are praying that someone will reach their friends and loved ones. And when we knock on the door or pass out a tract or share the gospel, we're the answer to prayer for someone's prayers in hell. Not only that, but this too, it'll give you joy. It'll give you joy. You don't need an antidepressant. You just need to go soul winning. You might not need a psychiatrist very long if you just keep going soul winning. Let's look at one quick story in Acts chapter number 8, and we'll see this illustrated. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts. In the book of Acts, if you cut the word action in half, you have the word acts. And so this is the New Testament church in action. The church Jesus started, what kind of church was it? Once they got persecuted, they scattered, and they're giving the gospel everywhere. So we see down in Acts chapter number 8, and looking down into verse number 26. Acts 8:26, familiar story, but I just want you to see it. "And the angel of the Lord spake unto Philip, saying, Arise." By the way, who knows what the name Philip means? Philip, lover of horses, lover of horses. And anyway, it's one of the leaders. "Arise, go toward the south unto the way that goeth down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is desert." So Philip was doing great. He was preaching. He had a revival going on, people getting saved. And the angel says, "Leave where you are, go into that desert." And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, a different nation, an eunuch of great authority under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, who had the charge of all her treasure. What do you call it? What's the big word? The person in charge of the finances or treasury in the United States. Secretary of Treasury? Treasury, okay. Well, that's what this guy was. So the queen is Candace. He's the one that runs all of her kingdom's finances. I would think this guy was a pretty important person, wouldn't you? This guy probably had a little wealth, probably a little money stuck to his fingers, and he had charge of all her treasure, had come to Jerusalem for to worship. So he had driven all the way from Ethiopia, that kingdom, to Jerusalem where the temple was. He worships, so he has a heart for the Lord. Now he's returning and sitting in his chariot, read Isaiah the prophet. That's the New Testament spelling for Isaiah. So he's reading, and we know it's Isaiah chapter 53. He's reading Isaiah. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, go near, and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip ran thither to him, and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, and said, understandest what thou readest? Let's stop for a second. How many of you have ever, just in public, not at church, not in the church parking lot, you've ever been somewhere and someone was sitting down reading their Bible? If so, where did you see them? I mean, you don't go to the average Starbucks and someone's reading their Bible, or, they're sitting in the car and reading their Bible. That's kind of a rare thing. So here it is. This guy's reading his Bible. And it says, understandest what thou readest, verse 31. He says, how can I, except some man should guide me? And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. So the guy's searching. He knows some of the truth, but he needs someone to put the pieces of the puzzle together for him. The place of the scripture, it just happened to be where he read was this: he was led as a sheep to the slaughter, and like a lamb dumb before his shearer, so opened he not his mouth. Verse 34, and the eunuch answered Philip and said, I pray thee, of whom speaketh the prophet this? Of himself or of some other man? Then Philip opened his mouth and began at the same scripture and preached unto him Jesus. Now notice how quickly he got on Jesus. He didn't talk politics. He didn't brag 5 minutes on his chariot. He didn't talk about Ethiopia. He didn't talk about what it was to work for Queen Candace. He didn't talk about that. I mean, as quick as he could, he made a beeline right there, just shortcut straight to the gospel. That's what he did. And that's what we're to do. And as they went on their way, they came to a certain water, and the eunuch said, see, here is water. What doth hinder me to be baptized? Philip said, if thou believest with all thine heart, thou mayest. He answered and said, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. He commanded the chariot to stand still. They both went down into the water, both Philip and the eunuch, and he baptized him. Wouldn't you say this guy was ready? I mean, he was just what you'd call ripe fruit. He's hanging on the tree. Not too often is a guy just come back from church, reading the Bible, wants to know God, and the soul winner just happened to be in the desert. Two people in the desert. You call that a Holy Spirit appointment. And so that's what the Lord oftentimes does. He sends us to those people. Soul winning is not arguing with someone who's a high priest in the Mormon church or the pastor of the Jehovah's Witness church or some Shiite person that's been that religion or Islam their whole life. They just got back from Mecca arguing with. That's not soul winning. We're just looking for the one who's looking for him. And that's what most soul winning is. It's not arguments. It's not 3-hour discussions. It's, has God been working on them? I guess not. Well, I'll find the person who is. There's someone who's ready. Now, with that in mind, let me just give you some notes here, and then we'll quote some scriptures throughout. We'll try to cover this material. A soul winner. What is a soul winner? A soul winner is a nobody telling everybody about, capital S, somebody who can save anybody. So we're not big shots. A soul winner, we're just nobodies, but we just want to tell everybody. Someone said a soul winner is one beggar telling another beggar where to find some food. That's pretty good. Someone has to care. Pastor, sometimes I just don't have a heart for people, and I'm just not motivated, and sometimes I don't think I care deeply that people get saved. What would help me? Here's the 4 subjects you want to meditate on. Meditate on hell. And you can do that reading Luke 16, just thinking about what it's like, what the people who are there are going through right now, and that'll motivate you to get that track out of your pocket. Heaven, be motivated on heaven. A lady called me on the phone that was listening online Sunday when we preached on heaven, the whole message. She said, Pastor, it makes me just want to run right into heaven right now and leave this place. I'm ready to go. I said, well, don't leave yet. And so meditate on heaven. Next, the harvest. The harvest. What's it mean? This world is white unto harvest. People are being saved in the jails. People are being saved in Sunday school. People are being saved through the bus ministry. People are being saved door-to-door soul winning. People are being saved in the church services. The harvest is plenteous, but there's not enough laborers to pull the fruit off the trees. Then meditate on the crucifixion. That's John 19. And there's that false teaching, and it's even going around Napa some, that Jesus only died for some people. That's a lie. You have to be one of the elect, and he predestinated, and he picks who gets saved, and he picks who doesn't. Boy, that'll kill the zeal of any church right there. Whosoever will may come. He died for the whosoevers, and that's anybody on the earth. And so those things will help. Let me give you these blanks quickly. Who's some people that cared? Here's a little statement. The more you go, the more you care. You say, where do you get that from? Lamentations, Jeremiah said, mine eye affected my heart. When you're out visiting, sometimes people say, kids that go to Christian schools and Christian colleges, they're so sheltered. How would they ever know what the world is? You get them out there soul winning, visiting on a bus route, and the doors are open and the furniture's broken, and there's filth and trash all in the house. They'll learn what drugs does. They'll learn what alcohol does. They'll learn what a woman answers the door and she's got 2 black eyes. They'll learn what angry men can do, and on and on and on and on. As we're out soul winning, we see what sin does to people. We see the brokenness. A lady called this week. She said, I used to come to church there, and she says, I'm going to come back. My mother just died, and we're going to have a funeral, and Pastor, I haven't been there in years. But just all the brokenness, all of it. Who's some people in the Bible that cared? Quickly, Rahab. Rahab was called Rahab the harlot. She housed the 2 spies during the takeover when Jericho would be overthrown. And the spies said, if you rat on us, this is Ray translation, if you rat on us, everyone's going to die. But if you don't tell, whoever comes in your house will spare. She filled that house with her relatives and her friends and her neighbors. She packed that house out. She cared. I think of Cornelius. That's the next one. Simon Peter came to his house, and the angel told Cornelius, Simon Peter's going to come and tell you what you need to do to go to heaven. And so when Simon Peter showed up, Cornelius' house was filled with family and friends. He said, we're all here. Tell us what we need to know. He cared. I think of the 4 lepers. The 4 lepers. It's a famine in their city. I think it's Samaria. And the armies are just starving them out. They're starving. People are dropping like flies. There's cannibalism going on in the city. And the 4 lepers said, how about we just surrender to the enemy? All they can do is kill us. We're going to die anyway. And as they walked into the enemy's encampment, it was all empty. God had sent a noise of horses and soldiers. It was sound effect. And they all ran and left their food. And the lepers started gorging themselves and eating all that food. And they said, this is wonderful. Then one of them said something like this, we do not well if we do not tell. We're filling our bellies full of food. Here's all the camp. Here's all this food. The whole city's starving. We've got to go back and tell the city. And they go back and tell the city. 4 unlikely lepers with sores all over them. Unlikely heroes. They saved their city. Who else? Paul. In Romans 9:3, if you want to look at it later, he said, my prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. And then he said, I would account myself accursed if my brethren would get saved. What Paul was saying, he said, Lord, I would gladly die and burn in hell forever if you'd save all my kinfolk. What compassion. And he wasn't just boasting. That's scripture. He meant that. Paul deeply cared. Jesus' one prayer request, in your notes there, was for laborers. Only one time did Jesus tell us exactly what to pray for. He says, pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he would send forth laborers. We never have enough soul winners, never have enough teachers, never have enough bus drivers. It's laborers. We'll skip that. Look down just quickly here. Soul winning tips. Here we are. Just some practical things. The cream of the crops here tonight, our faithful people. Just some things to make you from a good soul winner to a great soul winner. Number one, schedule a weekly time to go. If you've ever been around Paul Chappell, he uses this statement: what gets scheduled gets done. What gets scheduled gets done. I figured it out this afternoon. I started soul winning every Saturday when I was in junior high school. Our church went out door to door and we carried tracts and tried to win souls. That was 7th grade. That was 51 years ago. So it's been 51 years, almost every Saturday I've been out. That's 2,500 Saturdays that I've been out trying to lead people to Christ. You go out that many Saturdays, someone's going to ask you how to get saved. I mean, you're going to bump into somebody. Schedule a time. Number two, begin with family and friends. You don't have to win all these strangers. Start with people you know, co-workers, neighbors, friends, family. I love what Jesus said to the maniac, the man with all the mental problems, and had been institutionalized and chained. He said, Jesus, let me be with you. Let me travel with you. And Jesus said, go home, and I like the phrase, to your friends. Home ought to be where your friends are. I don't know if you've ever seen the bumper stickers, real friends don't let real friends drink and drive. Here's one better. Real friends don't let real friends go to hell. And so start with family, start with friends. Number three, be soul conscious. Be soul conscious. When I started thinking about souls as a junior higher, I started realizing my neighbors, Paul and Darrell and Irene Rabelais, had souls. And Benny Megiddo had a soul. And Carl Rabelais and Jimmy Rabelais, his brother, had a soul. And Gail had a soul. And Mrs. Shears across the street had a soul. And the Haley family had a soul. And Mr. Augie had a soul. And Johnny Pontieu and his sisters down the street, they had a soul. And Randy Johnson owned drugs. He had a soul right across the street. And soon it wasn't just, let's go out and get a Coke or let's get a hamburger. Soon it was, let me talk to you. Begin with family and friends. Number four, always carry gospel tracts. Always carry gospel tracts. And these are the best. These are just the best. This has been 38 years in coming. Jonathan designed this. I just love our new tract. I just love it. You can sniff it, and you can sniff the water in the well. That picture of heaven, you can scratch and sniff and smell the flowers in heaven. No, I'm just kidding. But some people online, man, I need to come to that church. The tracts are scratch and sniff. But you want to carry these gospel tracts. Carl Hatch, great soul winner, I've told this, I'll hurry. He said, you ever catch me without a gospel tract, I'll give you a $100 bill. And that was a long time ago. $100 was a lot. So I was door to door with him. I still remember the neighborhood, door to door to door. And he's knocking on doors. And he's got a hand to tract. He goes, I'm out. I said, me too. He said, let's go to lunch. So we got in the car. And I said, all right, Brother Hatch. You've said it publicly. I've heard you many times. You said, if we ever caught you without a tract on you, you'd give us a $100 bill. I said, pay up. I know you don't have a tract on you. You're out. You know what he did? He pulled out his wallet. Always got one in my wallet. I said, that's cheating. He said, when I go to bed at night, excuse me, he said, when I'm in bed at night, I've got tracts. I said, come on. He said, I got pockets on my pajamas. I sleep with tracts, gospel tracts. I said, what are you going to do? Roll over and say, Ruby, did you get one of these? I mean, why do you have tracts in your pajamas? He said, I travel so much. He said, the motel may catch on fire and I might have to run out in my pajamas and win someone to the Lord. I said, you're nuts. Just nuts. Number next, quickly, be clean and neat. And obviously, this is not if you're at work or just coming home from work, but we're talking about when you have time, and this is your assigned time to go. Number 6, go prayed up and right with God. Nothing's worse than trying to give the gospel to someone else, and the Holy Spirit in you is saying, you're not even right. You're not even right. I still remember the night that Ethan Donahoe was my partner. Ethan was maybe 8th grade. He had just come to town, moved in with his brother, and some family issues. And so Ethan said, Pastor, can I go with you? I said, sure. We got off the soul winning bus, and we start to head to the door. And I said, Ethan, tell me, when did you get saved? Saved? What do you mean, saved? I said, I mean, you know, like if you died or you're going to heaven. He said, I have no idea. I said, okay, would you like me to show you? He said, yeah. So under the street lamp, my soul winning partner got saved. It helps if you're saved and you know you're going to heaven if you're going to tell other people how to go to heaven. And he tells that story all the time. Number 7, go expecting results. And soul winning is not just the power of positive thinking. Charles Spurgeon, the great pastor, he had over 200 churches they started around London, just a lot of outreach. And he would meet with the chapel pastors every week. And he looked at one, he says, did you have anybody saved at your service Sunday? And the young man said, no, sir. He said, did you think that you would? He said, no, sir. He said, that's why you didn't. And so I don't win people every time I go out, but I always think I will. I'm always thinking someone's going to get saved in this neighborhood. Someone's going to get saved on this street. One of those guys is going to get saved on the basketball court. Somebody's going to get saved. There's too many people not to be somebody that's wanting this. So number 8, don't talk too fast. Now, if you're from Texas, you'll have no trouble with this. If you're from Lower Alabama, that's L.A. Lower Alabama, you'll probably be fine. But some of you that are from maybe New York or some of those places, and you just talk real fast, you're going to have to slow it down. This is not a word, plan of salvation. That's not a word. That's like 3 words. You want to slow that thing down. Number 9, do not use confusing words. Now, if you're a real educated person, you've got so many degrees, you're running a temperature right now, and you're real smart, you have a big vocabulary, lower your vocabulary for us normal people. You're not there to impress them. Don't use words like, have you been converted? Have you been justified, on your way to being sanctified and one day glorified? Have you been adopted into the family of God? Have you been regenerated? Look, that's over my head. And so you want to just try to help with that. Next, don't have silent spots. If you forget a verse, that's why we have those cheat sheets to try to help you. But keep talking. There's going to be times when your mind just goes blank and it's like, I don't know what to say next. Keep talking till you find your place and you'll do fine. Number 11, quickly, do not witness to children if their parents are not home. We don't want strangers talking to our kids. They don't want strangers talking to their kids. You say, well, who's going to reach those kids? You wait till the cars pull in the driveway and the parents are home, and then you go give the gospel. Number 12, be complimentary and folksy. Be complimentary and folksy. Now, some of you, I want to just kind of encourage you, but don't be nosy. Hi, how you doing? Great, good to see you. How long you been married, or are you living in adultery? Hi, kind of a common smell. Y'all smoking pot right now? That's not why you're at their house. You don't have to ask, you already know. And so be complimentary. Nice yacht, nice car. Oh, you're a Raider fan. Wow, man, I love your boat. Oh, you drive a Harley. Nice. It's a roadster. And on you could go. Number 13, be careful about going in. If you feel safe and they invite you in, that's fine. Obviously, if it's a man and you don't have a partner, you never want to go in if it's just a woman. And same thing with a woman and just a man inside the house. Number 15, only once into the gospel, only one does the talking. So once you ask the question, if you died, would you go to heaven? We don't know. Would you like to hear it? Sure. So it's no tag team after that. Hey, tell them this. Oh, and don't forget this verse. Hey, and another thing, and put this on them now. And here's another verse. No, one does all the talking. I took someone with me years ago, and they said, what do you want me to do? I said, if I get the Bible open and they want to hear it, you start praying for them. He said, well, that's easy. Okay. So I got the Bible open. Next thing I know, my partner does this. Oh, God, please. And he closed his eyes and folded his hands, and he was whispering a prayer. In the center, of the person who was about to get saved, they said, what's he doing? And I said, I think he's praying for you. And so afterwards I said, you pray with your eyes open. Watch and pray. I said, don't close your eyes. It's distracting. And so that's what the silent partner would do. Number 14, be interested, but not too interested. Oh, you have a baby. Are you married? You know, some people can just be so nosy. Just leave it alone. You're trying to get them to heaven, not make them mad. And so, next, 16, stay on the subject. Stay on the subject. They have a hound dog. It's a hunting dog. They hunt raccoons. They're called blue ticks. It's the top of the line. They won't chase a skunk. They won't chase a bear. They won't chase a deer. All they will chase are raccoons, because there's a lot of money in hunting raccoons. They give away trucks, guns, trophies, money, cash. It's real big in certain states. So a blue tick hound dog that will only follow that trail is very important. So same with us. We need to be like a hunting dog when we're soul winning. And we say, now the first thing is right here, all have sinned. We're all sinners. And then they say, who'd you vote for the election? You think Trump's really going to turn the country around? So, you know, now if you're not careful, you're going to get off on a rabbit trail. If you're not careful, you're going to take the bait and you're going to talk about that, and you're going to be there an hour. You've only got so many minutes before the demons of hell interrupt that thing. So here's what I usually say. You know, I've got an opinion on that, and I really want to talk to you about that subject. I'm excited about it, but let me just finish what I'm showing you first, okay? You'll find out most of the time they'll never remember to ask that question again. It's just a little demon of hell shooting a little fiery dart, trying to get them distracted and getting you off base until the neighbor, the demons are trying to send over to the house to interrupt, can get there. You've only got so much time. Don't be sidetracked. Quickly, we all right? Everybody smiling? Take a deep breath. Here we go. Find a way to get them lost. Remember, soul winners are not trying to get people saved. We're trying to get people lost. You say, what do you mean by that? Luke 19:10, the Bible says about Jesus, he says, for the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. Most people think they're too good to need to be saved. A few people you'll meet, they feel they're too bad to get saved. That's the easy ones to win. Those that, well, I don't need the Lord. You know, I've always been a Christian and I love God. And if anybody makes it to heaven, I will. I give a lot of money here and I do good. I've never sinned. I've never done anything wrong. So we're trying to get them lost. Once a person realizes they're lost and on their way to hell, they get saved pretty fast. We've got some people that come on Sundays, they're not lost yet. And that's why they've not been saved. I got a man I'm working on. He's been here, I think, 3 times. He's not lost yet. He does not believe he'll go to hell. We're all going to heaven. Nobody goes to hell. But the moment he gets lost and understands he's on his way to hell, he's going to get saved just like that. Put it this way. You're on an airplane. The stewardess comes by, you've just taken off, and she goes, look, here's a 60-pound parachute. Put it on right now. What? Ma'am, you've just wrinkled my suit. What are you thinking? They're just serving the drinks and the meal. I'm not putting this on. Here, put this back somewhere. No one wants to put on a parachute. But when that plane has an explosion and an engine goes out, you look out the window, it's on fire. And the pilot comes on and says, we're losing ground fast. Put your parachute on. We're all jumping out. Hey, give me 2. Now we're ready to put them on. Not until we're going down do we want the parachute. Not until someone knows they're going down do they want to get saved. And so that's what we're praying for. We're trying to make it clear so God can work on them and show them that they're lost. We must hasten. Number 18, ring the doorbell first. If you don't hear it, knock loudly. And don't come up with, then they're going to think, who's the joker at the door? You want to be serious. UPS, they're all, UPS! Man, they about knocked your house down. FedEx! So we have something more important than leaving a package at a door. And so I said that one time. I told the teenagers, I said, make sure you ring the doorbell. Don't just knock. If there's a bell, you ring the bell. But they came up to the door. They didn't see a bell. The garage door was open. So they walked over to the garage, looked, there's the bell. So they walked into the garage and rang the doorbell, and the garage door closed. And the people came out and said, who are you and why are you in our garage? And so you need to know the difference between a doorbell and a garage door closure button. It is a big difference. Number 19, don't end with a negative visit. Don't end. If someone says, get off our property, we hate all you Christians. Don't say, well, that's the last door. No, you keep going until you have someone say, thanks for coming by. Number 20, place a track quickly on the door. Do not be slow. If you're going door to door and you're walking up to the door, you need to be figuring out, where does the track go? If they have a screen door, I don't open the screen doors anymore and then put it in. It sounds like you're coming in. Creak. A burglar is coming in our house. I'll look at the door and I'll bend it and put it right there, and that's it. No noise. I just don't take 5 minutes trying to get it. It looks like you're breaking into people's house. No wonder people get nervous when people come to their house. Just quickly leave it and go. If it falls on the ground, go. Sometimes I'll just leave it on the step. They'll find it. Just be quick about it. 3 keys quickly. Here, all T's, tracks. And we said last week, easiest way to give one out if you're going down the sidewalk or someone's across the street. Hey, did you get one of these? Hi doesn't work. It's got to be hey. Hey, did you get one of these? And you want to hold it up. And if they're interested, they'll take it. Always have tracks. Number 2, testament. Now, some people, when souls just with tracks, there's no wrong way to do it. Me, for years, I'll always have my small New Testament, half the size of this. How come? It gives a soberness when I'm witnessing. Hey, man, that guy's got a Bible. Hey, y'all be quiet. The guy's got a Bible. Plus, if it's a group of people that want to get saved, it's easier to say, if you'd like to accept Christ, simply put your hand right here. And usually I will always make it dramatic. I'll bring my hand up like that, almost like a full circle, like a kung fu. Anyway, and I'll put it there. And I've had people say, does it matter which hand? Had a girl about 6 months ago, she put her hand on the Bible and she had those long, and they couldn't have been real. Those fingernails, it went halfway across my Bible and curled down. It was something like out of a science fiction movie. I said, unbelievable. I said, no girls ever put their hand on my Bible with nails that long. You know, I think all the angels up in heaven said, look at this. And it was just something. And so I've seen the tattoos, but that's what I do. Always use a testament. It just makes it more serious because I've got a Bible. I'm not just telling you something. I don't just have a piece of paper. I have a Bible. 3rd, testimony. You want to be able to give your testimony. Where, when, what did you do when you got saved? And that's what they want to hear. They could care less about 4 verses from the Bible. They want to hear, when did you do this? What time did you do this? And again, if you can't remember the date, it's the summer of 1998. You will know the place. If you're saved, you will know where you were when you got saved. It was in my bedroom. I was in the Wendy's parking lot. I was at the altar of a church. I was in junior church. I was in a modular building on our church property. I was on a church bus. I was kneeling by my bed. Our family read the Bible that night, and my dad showed me from the Bible. I was in jail, and someone preached, and I got saved, and so forth. And so you want to give time, place. If you know the date, give it. If you don't know the date, give a generality. It was summer, winter, fall, spring. There was snow on the mountains or whatever it was. That's what you want to do. Conclusion. Let's finish this up quickly. Soul winning begins with the family. Ephesians 6 talks about father, mother, brother, sister, so forth. Go into all the world. How do you begin? Number 1, schedule a time. We talked about it. Number 2, carry gospel tracts everywhere. Talked about it. Number 3, and this is a good one, make a list of unsaved loved ones. Start with a list. Who do I know that's not saved yet? And just make your list. That would be a great prayer list. That'd be a great list to say, which one am I visiting this week? Who am I making an appointment to go by and see this week? Start with them, family, friends. Then 2 little illustrations and I'm done. I was in Santa Maria, Louisiana, a bayou community, a lot of water on the roadsides. It was a very large church at one time called Santa Maria Baptist Church. Saint, because of all the Catholic influence, Saint Amant and French. And so someone had just moved to Santa Maria, and this church was very aggressive, door to door, ran buses, soul winning. And this new person came to Santa Maria and asked someone, hey, so how do I find a church here in town to go to? I'd like to go to church. How do I find a church? And one of the members said, hey, if you just sit in your house long enough, they'll find you. You don't need to find a church. They'll find you. They'll be at your door pretty soon. And it ought to be that way all over Napa and all these surrounding communities. You just stay home and Hopewell will find you. Someone with the gospel is going to find you. I'll be done with this. There was the war, the Civil War, that we studied so much in public school. You remember this? It was the North against the South, and the South was the rebels, the Confederates, and the North was the Yankees, the Union. I told my wife, I said, your great-great-grandfather probably shot and killed my great-great-grandfather. And so during that war, there was a Confederate group of soldiers that was charging against the Union Army, the Northern Army, and there was a charge and gunfire and bodies fell, and so they regrouped, and the Confederate soldiers were around the campfire that night, and they said, man, our buddy didn't make it back. Man, they must have captured him or killed him. Wasn't too long later, in comes that Confederate soldier with his rifle, and he's got a Yankee or Union soldier in front of him. All right, here you go. He had captured a soldier. And they said, where did you get him? And he said, the woods are full of them. Go get you one. And I want to say this to all of us tonight. The city's full of them. There's sinners everywhere, people that need Jesus everywhere. Go get you one. We all could have had one last week if we really wanted one. Go get you one. I'm glad someone came and got me. I'm glad someone came and got our family. People need the Lord. I hope we'll just take some of these thoughts and some of these tips to be better at what we're called to do, the Great Commission. And if you're listening online tonight, or you're actually in the room tonight, and you do not know 100% sure if you've been saved, if you're going to heaven tonight, if you died, tonight's the night you want to open your heart and receive the one that died on a cross, shed his blood and rose from the dead. Only person ever do that with his own power. And he's in heaven right now building mansions, making room for you, and it's free. It's a free gift. You don't have to earn it. Don't have to work for it. It's a free gift. You could receive him tonight. Can't push you. I wouldn't want to push you into heaven, but you wouldn't want to blame us either. You could do that tonight. Whatever the need, you feel free to come tonight. Father, bless this time. Thank you for those who've attended, those who've listened attentively. Pray that you would help each of them, help them, and meet needs. Each of us have people we're working on, people we know that are lost. Help us not give up on them. Help us live the life. Help us to be right with you so they want what we have. And I pray that you'd rekindle the fire of compassion in people's hearts that they had for someone and they've just given up and they've stopped. Please help them. Our heads are bowed and our eyes are closed. Wonder who's here tonight. Say, Pastor, as you were teaching tonight, there was at least one thing I picked up on that I think I'm going to be able to use to share the gospel with someone else. There's something I heard or I was reminded of, and there's something I'm going to start using that I heard tonight. Would you slip that hand up? Anyone like that? Just all over the building? Good. Wonderful. Thank you. You may lower your hands. I wonder who's here tonight. You say, Pastor, during the message, you were reminded of a loved one or a coworker or a classmate or a neighbor or a friend or a cousin or relative who's never been saved yet. We're not talking about do they go to church. We're not talking about do they come here. We're just talking about have they been saved or are they going to go to heaven? And tonight, with God's help, you would recommit and say, Lord, I want you to use me to reach them. Maybe you've never got them alone and shared the gospel. Maybe you've just given them a tract. Maybe you've just invited them to church. Maybe you've never told them yet. And with God's help, you're going to ask God for wisdom when to speak to them and when to share the gospel. Pastor, pray for me. There's someone on my mind and my heart this very moment. Would you slip that hand up just all over the building? Most of us. Maybe you're here tonight. You say, Pastor, I don't even know if I would go to heaven. Here we are trying to learn better how to get other people in heaven, and I don't even know if I'm going, but I'd like your prayers. I won't come to you. I won't embarrass you. I'll hang around after the service. If you'd like to talk, be glad to share it with you. I won't embarrass you. But tonight you'd say, I just want you this week, Pastor, praying for me, because I don't know where I'd go if I died. I'd like to know it. Pray for me. Would you slip that hand up? Anyone like that? Just all over the building? All over the building. Okay, let's all stand together, please. The piano's going to play. Maybe you'd like to just come and pray for a while. You're welcome to come. Just leave your seat. Maybe you just have some burden, some heartache tonight. You'd just like to come lay it at the altar and ask God to give you strength and give you help. How about you?